Guys, hope everybody is doing well. It's the 13th of April. It is Saturday. We had a pretty wild ride here on Friday over in the US stock markets as well as the cryptocurrency markets. PNG we're talking about today, ticker symbol PNG USD. So this will be the PNG United States dollar pair. This is a daily chart, and at Coinbase is where we're getting our price data here. Welcome to the channel, guys. Appreciate all of the subscribers, new and current. Let's jump right into this PNG chart. We're going to talk about a couple things here. So it's going to be an interesting one. We're going to talk about upper and lower price targets. We're also going to talk about the Bitcoin at the end of this video. Guys, welcome. Yesterday for the PNG Pangolin, we had a day, let's see, we were down 7.22%. We had a pretty wide range. Looks like we had a bearish engulfing pattern. We hit 54 on the high. Close, not quite, but close. So a bearish engulfing pattern would have been taking out the previous day's highs, which were 54, but we actually only hit 54. So not quite, but we did obviously make a new low and closed lower. We also traded in between two ranges on the chart. We have two ranges here on my chart, 52,400, that's in yellow here. And then we also have a support level quite a bit lower than that. It looks like about 10 cents down there at 42,499. So you can see we hit resistance at a level above the market and found support at a level below the market. That's just how these levels work, guys. And that's a perfect example of trading lower, hitting a area of support, and then, trading higher, hitting an area of resistance, closing, just about in the center of this range anyways. Also, if we take a look to the left of the chart, the cup with handle is starting to really break down on us here, but we're keeping an eye on it. We're not going to ignore it. The low of the handle, so this would be the handle pattern right here, the part of the cup with handle. This is the handle part. The lows on the 3rd of April were tested yesterday. So we hit a low within that handle of 42, it looks like. And we hit a low yesterday. Looks like the low was just a little bit higher at 42,669, if I'm seeing that correctly. So very close to putting in new lows, but not quite. So something that I'm keeping an eye on here, as we head into the weekend here early on Saturday, is this area here. The 3rd of April's low, yesterday's low, as well as my 42,499 support. That's the blue line that's running horizontal on your screen. It would be great to see that hold. If that doesn't hold, we're going to be heading into a downtrend here for PNG. Now, it doesn't mean, all of the rallies are over here, but it does mean that, the reality is we have a lower high in place already. We are very close to printing a lower low. And if that's the case, PNG will be back in a downtrend here, a change in trend back lower. So, and that could just be short term. It doesn't mean, like I said, doom and gloom, end of the world. It's just short term. We're heading into a downtrend. Keep in mind, guys, we are still within a much larger basing structure. We still have the low of the base over here on the 20th of March. Looks like that price is around 36.9, if I'm seeing it correctly. And we still have the high of the base over here at 85. That day came in on the 27th of February. So saying all of that, we're still just within a large basing structure, but we are getting a change, or I should say potentially going to get a change in trend back to the downside. But you could still look at it from a bigger picture and say, oh, well, we're just still within this base. And yes, that is true. So sometimes I like to, keep an eye on obviously what's going on in the bigger picture, but also keep an eye on what's happening, in the smaller picture and maybe, getting on board or off when trends start to change within a bigger pattern. So that's pretty much what I'm watching here for PNG. There's obviously some good support at 42,499. We double bottomed basically yesterday. I guess a true double bottom would be an undercut of the lows, which would be an undercut of this low on the 3rd. But we'll see. Having the lower high in place, let me clean up this so we could see. So we have the lower high printed right here. Let me get the arrow back. Hope everybody had a great week. We have the lower high printed right here on the 9th of April. And we're pulling back here. We're very close to printing a lower low. So we already know we have a lower high. If we print a lower low, that's when things get a little dicey. And the odds basically just means the odds start to flip that we're going to be heading lower sooner rather than higher sooner. It's not perfect, it's black or white, but it starts to flip the scale into now we're heading into more of a downside, a bearish, if you want to call it, than heading into an upside, more bullish scenario. That's all it means. But I want you to keep in mind, we're still just within a basing structure, a much larger basing structure with a very wide price range from 40, 30, like 35 or so up to 85. So, like I said, this cup with handle is starting to really lose its great shape and, being basically a perfect cup with handle. We pretty much have lost that the past couple days, pretty much after we printed this high here on the 9th of April. So, but we're going to leave it on there for a little bit longer and we'll see what happens with this price if it starts to move higher or not. So let's take a dive into some lower price targets if this thing continues down into the weekend here of the 13th of April. So for starters, like I said, 42,499. Keep your eye on that. It's important. Now we do have a couple more below that. So 41,277. That's this white line. Potential area support. It's very close to the blue line, which is 42,499. Above that is when we start to drop a little bit further. 37,890 area to watch. We also have an area. It's going to be just about right here, like 39,929, roughly. Potential area of support. It's very close to this candle's lows over here on the 26th of March. Those are 39.4. That's an area. I don't have it on the chart, but I will have to put that on there. So getting back down below 37,890. It's an area. 36,645. These are all areas to watch, to keep your eye on for price to find support. If it finds itself down at these levels. The real important area I want to talk about, if this trend really starts to break lower, and we're close, there's no confirmation quite yet here for the PNG chart, is right around or actually I do have it on the chart. It's the 34,300 level. That's an important area. And then we also have one just below it at 34,137. 34,300 is a very important area to hold. It's quite a bit lower. I understand that. But if price finds itself down there, you just want to be aware of areas, at least I do, okay? Areas for price to, find a footing. If we find ourselves down there, if PNG finds itself down there, you're going to see the price down about another, you could call it like 23 or 24% from where we're trading at right now, which is 44,520. That will also put the chart in a not the greatest position. It would mean undercutting the lows here of this large consolidation. But, maybe we see a big candle wick like we saw yesterday, and then they close higher. So we undercut the major lows within the consolidation, and then, maybe we close higher after finding support at that 34,300 or 34,137 area. So I just want you to keep in mind of what's possible to the downside, and then we'll jump into the upside here in just a moment if these markets do turn here this weekend. And then, of course, here's the levels that are lower than that if things get real dicey this weekend. We have 28.6, 27.4, and 26.2. That's purple, red, and yellow lines of potential support as markets potentially trade lower. And then the higher, if we decide to break out higher, we tested that level yesterday, which was 52,400. 52,400, potential area of resistance, like we've seen on the 12th and 11th of April. We have 65. If we find ourselves up at 65, that would be a very, very nice breakout. And I would be very bullish once again if we start to find ourselves up at that level, especially starting to break above 52,400. And then, of course, 72 is another area. 88, 89, 120, very important. And the $1.12 is the target, if this thing broke out of its cup with handle. But, it's starting to lose traction. But like I said, I'll leave that there for a little longer, and we'll see if this thing recovers or not. But anyways, $1.12 would have been the target if the cup with handle broke out above the highs of the left-hand side of the cup, of the handle, excuse me, which would have been over here. So you take the depth of the cup, the highs and the lows, and then you add that to the entry, which would have been the left-hand side of the handle, and that gets you up there to $1.12. So that is my thoughts on both lower and upper for PNG heading into this weekend. Let me know your thoughts. We'll see what happens, guys. Not financial advice. Feel free to share any thoughts, ask any questions, whatever you want down in the comments. I usually try to get back to all of you. So let's take a quick look over at Bitcoin before we wrap this video up. We got Bitcoin over here. We had the pretty rough day in this. Like I said, we were flat the U.S. stocks the other day. We had just a little bit more confirmation of that as we were down 75 and 0.65 on the SPX. Where's Bitcoin? Where's Bitcoin? There it is. So Bitcoin, once again, we're still in a okay position. Yesterday was not the greatest, but it is what it is. Did find support at 66.32. So far today, we have an inside day, but we're finding support there as well as resistance at 68.748. We still have, we still have a higher low. We didn't take out the lows over there from the 2nd and 3rd of April. That's good. We have a failed breakout so far on the 8th that takes place, and then we rolled over pretty strong. That's a little bit of a concern. But until we start to really test these lows or undercut these lows, we're just still within a sideways consolidation looking for that big breakout. But the more days we start to see like this, like yesterday, the more concerned I get that, hey, our top's in, maybe we're going to roll over or consolidate for longer before getting a break higher. But we just want to keep all scenarios in mind of what's possible. But like I said, the last time we saw a day like this on the 2nd of April, we just rallied right out of the gates and recovered. We did start to break out on the 8th, but quickly rolled over. So important areas to watch up here at 71,335 as well as 68,748. We start to find ourselves up there again. When price keeps testing an area, just like when price tests areas to the downside, when price really starts to keep testing areas of importance like the 71,335, where we have all this resistance, if the price finds itself back up there and starts to break out, it could happen in such a large fashion that it's people can't believe it. And the same goes to the downside when price keeps testing areas of importance. So we could talk about like the 66.32. If price gets down here again and starts to test it, we could start to see a strong break lower. It's only a matter of time until price tests certain areas so many times before you start to see some kind of a big reaction. So far, we're seeing that reaction to the downside. Like we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 10 trading days of resistance at 71,335. You call it 9, and then here yesterday we started to get a strong break lower. So that's just one example of that's a very important level, 71,335. So if we start to test it again to the upside, I would just be aware, keep your mind open that we could really see a break higher. But for right now, we do not want to print a lower low. We do not want to see something like this start to take place. If that's the case, we could find ourselves back down there around that 60,205 level. Basically the lows over here from the 20th of March. Guys, thanks for watching. Let me know your thoughts on Pangolin and Bitcoin. If you are not yet a subscriber, go ahead and join us. Hit that thumbs up. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Appreciate all of it. All links are always down below, and it does help support the channel. We'll be back throughout the weekend with some more videos. Take care.